and Almighty, that people may give thanks for all good things around us, ascend from Zion above, so we praise God right for His divine love. We do give thanks also for this divine opportunity where once more we are joined as human beings, as people, as earthlings. We are all on earth, So most times, even in creation, people don't really realize that, that living, that they don't really have a responsibility for self. So here we are in a world whereby everything is going extinct, and yet still that we don't see that the biggest living being that's going into extinction specifically is what we will refer to as the man. So if you know that out of every 3 men, 2 of them get prostate cancer, and out of every 3 that get prostate cancer, 2 of them die. As we speak, in the past 8 seconds, every 2 seconds somebody die out of a diabetes related condition. Every 2 seconds, 1,000, 2 1,000, somebody just died. 3 1,000, 4 1,000, somebody just died. 5 1,000, 6 1,000, somebody just died. So every 2 seconds, specifically, someone lose their life just because of a non-communicable chronic illness. So when we look at the whole realms of violence and they say, well, murdering and shooting. So at the end of the year, we have 40 deaths through violence or 46 deaths through violence. Yes, it's gruesome that it's a shooting or it's a stabbing or it's one of these things. But picture the person, right, who has been diabetic for the past 15 years, right, who their kidneys failed from 10 years ago, who have been on dialysis for 5 years, where every day they go to the hospital and they have to get this equipment on them and all their blood drain out of their body, go into a machine and come back within their physical structure. And then, they had an amputation, so right now they have one leg, and now the other toe is starting to rot off, and then they have to cut it again, and you understand? So as we see the gruesome nature, even when a woman has breast cancer, where she has to get that whole breast removed, where that breast begins to decompose, right? When a woman has fibroids, her whole womb has to be removed, right? So when we look at the whole gruesome nature of death via non-communicable diseases, I think that we're supposed to have an emergency meeting when it comes to the whole aspect of all of our policymakers. So just like they change the laws of the police and give the police more rights and call this place a disaster area, there are places that you have to call disaster areas because so many people dying from high blood pressure, so many people dying from diabetes, so many people dying from prostate cancer, so many people dying from breast cancer, so many people dying from the simplest thing. Yet still the number of deaths does not appear as gruesome as the murders. Because the tourists won't come. Right? So if it is then that our people are dying because of diabetes, high blood pressure, prostate cancer, breast cancer, lymphoma, leukemia, all these different types of diseases, heart attacks, right, strokes. Right? Somebody, as we're speaking there, 2 people in the hospital must have died just out of a stroke or some type of thing. Right? So why is it then that the loss of that life is not as significant as the loss of the life just because of gun violence and knife stabbing? Somebody just had a stroke there. When Babulo, okay, all right. So how is it then there are no initiatives put in place and say, well, let's save that life and let's save that life and give the police emergency powers to arrest the people that sell Coca-Cola and Sprite. Sprite is not right and Coke is not it. And we know that specifically all the license, all these license to do all type of things that they know kill off our people. Right? So every parent would know that, well, I given them that type of food to go to school because that's what I have the time to prepare the food. Plus I know it's not good, right? So yet still we are feeding our children food that we know that's not good, and there is no emergency powers that come into place to hold people accountable, right? So the same way that you had the mask for the COVID and the mask thing for vaccination and all these different things, have something mask for prostate cancer, some for breast cancer, and for diabetes, high blood pressure, right? So it is critical that as a people that we begin to think more holistically. We begin to actually behave ourselves in a manner whereby we're not biased. We're not just thinking of things in just one way because it begins to affect us. Oh boy, the tourists soon come. When you go on the internet and you search, the first thing you see is 3 murders in St. Lucia, but 40 people just died because of stroke. So the number of people that die because of non-communicable chronic illnesses must be 10 times what normally die from violence and shooting and them type of things there. But because it doesn't affect the number of tourists that come, we don't have that level of urgency towards it also. Let us think more wholesomely, right? So as we say, the Arts Liberation Celebration is a program whereby we actually come forward to just look at the polarity of things. So whereby they highlight the news of the violence, we highlight the news of the goodness that happens in our society. So the same way that you have one youth that might be violent and killing, you might have another 100 youth that's doing something constructive that no one is highlighting, right? And whereas some of us are strong enough to endure and persevere and produce and remain to be creative, what is happening is that a lot of people don't have the heart that it takes, the discipline it takes, the foundation that they were actually built upon cannot withstand, right, the travesty of what society has actually thrown upon them and what you call, right, circumstance or sauplate. Not everyone has that choice. Not everyone has that choice. Oh, what was his choice? No. No. I mean, if it is that you have a rat living in the mountain, the rat can go and get coconut, everything. You put a rat in a box, and then that's the box that the rat can live in. And then you put 2 rats, 3 rats, 4 rats, then they must have to fight. You will have 5 rats in the mountain, and they have coconut, they have banana, they have whatever thing. No, them rats, they will never fight. Right? So we have created a system whereby we have a lot of people in a lot of tiny little places, and we call them ghettos, right? And yet still there are no initiative that has gone through to say, well, okay, let us have some affordable housing thing to, let's build a big thing here, so you have a little thing there, so at least we could give these people a semblance of what we call decency and life, right? So most of the areas in Viewfort where they say that the violence are, pass through Shantytown and you'll see. Why you feel they call it Shantytown? Why you feel they call the place Shantytown? Right? So for over the past, how many years, decades that, you know, we had a prime minister that used to be running down in Viewfort, the Honorable Prime Minister Kenny Anthony. He stayed there as Prime Minister for 10 years. Was it? About 10 years? Right? And he's been there for an additional 10 years. Or probably 15 years or so. So about 25 years. So what has that legacy actually produced? Right, so let us now say, well, where do we go from there? Right, so our problems of the diabetes, high blood pressure, and crime and violence, they are not happening now. These seeds were planted 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, and they have manifested. So right now, the soil is putrefying. That's pus, and it stinks. And because it stinks so bad, you could stay at your home and you could smell it. Now it's starting to bother you. But all the time that it was the person that it was bothering, it was right there and they had the soil, they couldn't walk. That wasn't your problem. But now the soil now stinking so bad that you stay at your home and you're smelling it. That's how I'm saying your boboka santi. Oh, that's smelling now. Oh, you know, now you start to worry. All right. So let us see then how we could celebrate the goodness that our youth have to offer. Let us celebrate the births and not just the deaths. And when it is that we are beginning to account for deaths, the death of a diabetic who have been mutilated, who is blind, their kidneys fail, is no different than the death of some. It's worse because it's suffering. It's like somebody just there and they pull out the teeth. Ouch, and you're still there and you're leaving and you have to eat with one less teeth and they pull out the teeth and you have to leave and they pull out the take out the toe, and take out the toe, then they cut out the leg, you know, and then you have to walk with one leg and finally, oh, people say, God, sir, Messi body, me say more, oh, he's in a better place. But he doesn't been in a better place, right? What are the policies that we're going to put in place, right? That these people stay in the right place where they're supposed to be, in the land of the living. So give thanks. Welcome to the Arts Liberation Celebration. I know definitely my introduction was a bit lengthy, and that was very deliberate because of the whole level of just perception, whereby we could just stop looking from the bottom and just look from the top, and you might see that your view is completely different. Honorable Prophet Edison, blessed.
Blessed love, Honorable. Pleased once again to be here with the eye and to forward with the nation in a progressive thought, looking towards the health of the nation, looking towards the health of the individual, because it is each and every one of us that extend and make up the nation. So our health is just as important as the health of the nation individually. So every time we wake up and we have a lingette, a proper tea, or we invest in getting some herbs, we are actually benefiting the entire space, because through our clear thinking, through our clear intestines and our mood being more balanced, we create a better environment. And not only that, of course, for the parents, for the leaders, as we continue to feed ourselves and teach ourselves, we have other ones who are around us learning, who are adopting the lifestyle. So that is the other aspect of chronic disease, where it is literally taught to some extent, and here we are in the midst of correcting it in each and every one of our own destinies. So I'm grateful to be here with the Honorable, the Master Herbal Physician, looking into some great works, of course, that the young people have been putting forward and that we continue to highlight throughout this series of programs. Of course, we have quite a bit to discuss. We have the food of the day, we have the herb of the day. But for the moment, just giving thanks, we know a lot of the young people have been tuning in over the last few weeks. We've seen their presence, and we, of course, we're grateful for the level of engagement. And we're going forward with more youth-oriented concept that young people who are listening can benefit from. We've had the Vogue designers who've discussed really inspirational backgrounds, things that I think all of us can take home. And again, we're here to forward into the discussion with new ideas, more inspiration, more insights, and of course, with more health benefits coming out of this. So give thanks, Honorable. And as we continue to discuss, I hope that the policymakers continue to listen, because it is important, it's imperative that we as a whole, as a nation, look towards health. I mean, it is an island that we have. We don't have indispensable human beings. We're here to nurture ourselves and to flourish alongside the environment. So it is paramount that as we in the Helen of the West, in the Caribbean, we take the time to appreciate love what is around us, and that is indigenous herbs. Herbs that have been brought here by our ancestors, by people who have been living here for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years in some instances. So that we're grateful for, and that's what we're looking into, Honorable. Give thanks for the moment.
Thanks, my lord. So definitely, even before we go into the intercession, just go through the food of the moment, because the herb I gave them was the herb of life. It's the truth, the words. The man shall not live by bread alone. So you could just go into the food of the moment before our intercession and just give us a brief synopsis of who we'll be speaking to, and then we'll go into the intercession.
Give thanks, Honorable. And the food of the day today is the burro banana, the macambu. I know burro banana is not really our word, so when they put it up, people get confused. But it's macambu, and they call it donkey banana. I think that's the translation. It is, it's from Mexico, or more Central America almost, that the plant originates. But the macambu, as we know it, it comes with many benefits, several health benefits, oftentimes negated. And as we look at the food, we look at its uses and how it can be swapped in. So even before we look at the benefits, we know macambu is a thing we can cook green, we can have ripe in smoothies, even something like ice cream, which is like a vegan version of ice cream. It just comes out of blending frozen bananas or macambu bananas or burro bananas, which is simply sweet but with a lower glycemic index. Macambu has been used to make flour recently, and of course we know that it's coming forward in all of our culinary uses as a starch, as a carbohydrate. But beginning there, it's rich in fiber, so it helps to soothe and smooth the bowels. It helps to improve the digestive health and would prevent against any colon disorders. That being said, it would help to eliminate waste in the colon. Also, it is rich in iron, so it prevents against anemia, which is more or less low hemoglobin count over a long period of time. So because of the iron content in the macambu, it would help to deal with that. And it's not only rich in iron, it's rich in magnesium. And magnesium is really interesting because as the body metabolizes protein, it creates ammonia, and magnesium is needed to convert the ammonia into urea to be expelled. So it's really important that we have it coming in trace amounts and high amounts from foods like these. Also, the macambu can be cooked with the skin, and that's where most of the iron is. But even if you negate that, it's still high in resistant starch, which it ferments in the large intestine, and it acts basically as fiber, but it's also a low glycemic index food, so it would help diabetics. Diabetics can consume it. Also, it's rich in potassium. Potassium helps to regulate the sodium amount in the body, expel excess sodium, but it also bonds to sodium, giving the potassium-sodium pumps. That's on all of our cells. We have anywhere from 800,000 to I think 40 million or 4 million of those. And it's really prolific in the body because that's what controls the movement of minerals into the cells. Also, it has calcium. Now, when you get a food like that with potassium and calcium, it's extremely helpful because it's in the right proportions. It'll in fact help to prevent kidney stones by expelling excess calcium from the kidneys, but would also provide the correct amount. And of course, potassium would allow calcium to enter the muscles to contract. So that's on high blood pressure, it assists in high blood pressure, and also in general muscular exercise, allowing you to have proper responses. And of course the heart, it beats and it needs that level of potassium as well to continue that proper process and to allow the arteries and so on to continue to contract and so on. So it's overall great to have that potassium in there, the iron in there. Also it has phosphorus, copper, the B vitamins assist, the B vitamins as well. It also converts carotene, I believe, into vitamin A, and that would assist in the eyes. But we know vitamin A is going to come out of the situation, so it's a food for the eyes. It's also a food for the overall brain and for the mood. It contains two important components which assist in the making of serotonin and dopamine, which improve the mood. Those are hormones that we need to keep our mood lively. So that's extremely important, and for the brain as well, the B vitamins. So that burro banana, that makabu that sometimes we disregard, we put aside. Yeah, we see makabu flour, but maybe we don't want to use it. Of course, it's gluten free, so some people are gonna use it, but everybody can benefit from it in one way or another. Be it cooked, added into your rotis, added into your soups. We used to make pies. In fact, at Cardinal, we do a barbecue mushroom and burro banana pie, and I'm sure most people would see burro banana and be like, what's that? But you know, we could say makabu as well, and that's popular. I know makabu fries, makabu chips, all of these are savory and accompany quite your gourmet style dishes with a little side of makabu chips. You could enhance that and enhance the Caribbean aesthetic with something that is indigenous to us in the Caribbean as well, to some extent, but we know is coming forward in our modern day eating, as well as what we've been eating over the years. I know a lot of grown-ups who don't feel good if they don't have a piece of makabu or dashing on their plate. So it's good. It says that we've been getting some things right, and you're just looking forward to getting even further into that legacy of health. Yeah, and also, you know, this evening, giving thanks for the moment, we don't have just food and just minerals in that sense, but we have knowledge to unpack for young people, for all of our listeners, which is coming out of a youth entrepreneur who has been toiling the soil for quite a few years. I mean, I've been observing the brother we have here tonight for quite a few years. Since 2019, I became acquainted with his work, and that was at a Drinks and Links. It was really cool meeting people of his caliber and coming into his actual space, digital marketing, media. There's not many people you see who carry across that integrity and that concern for client results. So we have a young man here who is skilled at creating exponential results for his clients, anywhere from the medical, political, social space, and businesses of these caliber have been using P1 Marketing and our brother Phil Henderson to develop and to reach their clients more effectively, to create a more on-demand and creative style of business, more interactive, especially within the social space. You have skilled videographers, photographers. I've seen work with the Honorable Phil, and I've seen such great quality work be produced on the ground, things that I'm sure many of you know, commercials that you've probably seen. So here we have the man behind it all, and he's been the genius within that digital marketing space, motivating his team, of course yearning to expand and to help more, to touch more lives. And when we come back from the intercession, Honorable, we're going to look into his story thoroughly. I know that he's a young man who's traveled quite well within this space and who has a lot to offer. So giving thanks for the moment, just I'm grateful for the opportunity to look into such.
Give thanks. Definitely, we do for an intercession a bit over our time. Pardon us, Brother Randall there. Definitely, when we come again, we'll have a thorough introduction and bring in our brethren in, so at least we could have a reasoning at the love. That's it.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, you know, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, you know, drop it in your juice same way. And you know what I mean, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, you know. Most times I take it in water, you know what I mean? Like, but you know, if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, like, you know what I mean, with something that you know is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. Is people try to incorporate the natural living into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift. You know, we give thanks is an answer, you know, for real.
Jah, thanks for life and a mighty life giver. Definitely, even within St. Lucia and the rest of the world, there are lots of problems. What are the solutions that our young people could offer to the multiplicity of problems that they actually encounter? The Great Physician International Monkeylas Rejuvenation Center and the Green Zen present you with the Art Liberation Celebration, an opportunity whereby young people could come and sit in and provide a natural solution to all the artificial problems that are faced within our community. Yes, we do give thanks for life and a mighty life giver, and give thanks definitely for all good things around us as sent from Zion above. As you saw just before, you see that wonderful ad there with the answer, you know, and our brother, Honorable Prophet Jaman, known as Chronics. You know, so definitely, you know, the answer is the answer to boost up your immune system and keep you on that track of hopefulness. So this evening we have a young brethren, and it is, you know, it's important that we just highlight what the youth doing, and you know, and give them an opportunity to share their glory, another story, you know, their glory from their own mouth of what they have been through to be able to triumph. Because most times people see successful people and they say, well, Kasaba, why you know, the priest in the lodge. So someone might see, well, okay, well, I you know, I'm being successful. But you know, the priest is that man is Rasta man, the man in the lodge, you know. Now, so why is it that you want to give the lodge all the glory, right? When I am not giving the lodge, you know, whole heap of different things, and you know, when it's my hard work, you know, it's because that probably I'm in the Rastafari lodge, right? So basically, it is critical that we understand that when anyone that has been able, that is able to excel, anyone that is able to actually achieve anything in life, that achievement comes specifically through hard work and a high level of consistency. You know, if you go and gamble and you win, the money finish in a little bit of time. Alright, so we have our young brethren with us, Honorable Prophet. Introduce your brethren here and let us go into his life glory.
Alright, so we have Mr. Phil Henderson from P1 Marketing, and they've been doing phenomenal work on the island of St. Lucia to market the local businesses in various sectors. Of course, we have him here to share with us his story on how he began, what were his motives into the digital space. Of course, it's a space that some might consider saturated. Now, there's two ways to look at that. Some people say that means it's great, should get in. Some people might look at it in another vantage point. So let's look at what caused Phil to enter the market at this particular time and when he did. And I know when I met him back in 2019, he seemed to already be seasoned. So he's going to tell us his backstory. He's going to give us his history. And let's listen to what the gentleman has to say. Give thanks.
Where are you from, though?
Give thanks.
Where were you born?
St. Lucia. St. Lucia. I was born St. Lucia.
Okay.
I'm officially VG, but raised in Laclery, so I'm a Laclerian, if you can call it that. Yeah. But yes, but give thanks. I appreciate, honestly, I must appreciate you, Prophet Edison, for bringing me onto the show, and you, Honorable Kilash, for having me here. It's a great pleasure to experience this space. To just give thanks. I really appreciate you guys having me on here. So your question to me.
Yeah, so we're looking at what were your main driving factors into the digital space? What inspired you to get into that particular space within the niche markets? Of course, we know digital marketing oftentimes is occupied by videographers, photographers, and I've seen you encompass all different aspects of that digital space, that media space, even the personalized space. So what really drew you into that communicative ethos?
I think it is a melting pot of skill sets that I was almost born with. I have to say, give thanks to my mom, Angel Charmaine Wells, who literally sacrificed, probably when I was about 2 years at the time, computers were this new, innovative, crazy thing. And she put together her last dollar and she said, I want my son to understand these devices. She put me in front of that computer from 2 years old, and she was also an English teacher. She retired a few years ago, but she's an English teacher. So I think she gave me the ability of understanding technology from a screen, and being an English teacher teaching me how to communicate. I married those two skill sets that I had personally and professionally, and I kind of charted my way forward all throughout school. I was always behind a screen. I always looked at a screen and always looked at not just marketing, but communicating. And then realizing, you know, I'm just so fortunate to be born in this time where digital marketing or digital communication is the main way that people get a message across. For businesses, we try to put what we would call a warm audience, or customers who are more than likely to buy your product or service in front of you, so they don't spend a lot of time wasted trying to find a product that they're in line with. And for businesses, you know, we cut out the time. We don't take
you work for your own self?
Yeah, so I'm the owner and managing director of P1 Marketing Solutions. That company started in 2019. When we met, I had just actually started the company, but I have been doing marketing since 2014 for the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League. I was the marketing person there. That is a non-profit. For those, many people don't know, but credit unions are actually non-profit financial organizations. So their modus operandi is not make money to pay 5 shareholders. It's make money to give back to the people. And that was just in line with me, like it resonated with my spirit. And so, you know, doing marketing for, you know, in that space, you know, you're never working for a big budget. It's never $1 million, $10 million. You're working with it's people's money. Yeah. So that just really was stuck with me, and I felt like, what is the most efficient and effective way to get that message across to these people? It was too expensive to spend thousands of dollars on TV. It was too expensive to spend thousands of dollars on ads, on radio, but you know, how could we get it efficiently? And I stumbled upon digital marketing, and it was within my personal skill set. Again, back to me always being on a computer, understanding websites and how they work, and social media marketing.
But computers have several aspects. Being on the computer also exposes you to a lot of pornography, expose you to a lot of violent games,
yes,
expose you to many things that might just distract you. What is it then? What was that force? You know, that even if that you're on a computer, that you did not just jump to something abstract, something that probably that would have led you into the wrong way, that you could say, well, okay, you have a successful self-sustaining business today.
It's unfortunate, firstly, let me say that you have access to anything, yeah? And some would say the natural human nature is to gravitate towards the negative thing. I don't believe that. I believe that, you know, there's good in all of us, and that we should, and naturally, natively, we gravitate to the good thing and we gravitate to the positive thing. I can only speak from a personal experience. I just knew I wanted to entertain myself in a wholesome fashion most of the time. You know, if you're growing up, you will stray from time to time and find different things because it's so easily presented to you. But then when you realize, you know, this doesn't serve your best interest, there's nothing I can really do with this outside of the moment that it entertains you, I started looking for more. Started looking for, okay, maybe how not just how I'm entertained by this thing, but how can I create it? How can I make other people be entertained or have fun or whatever it is by this thing that I'm interested in?
What was the first the first time you make a money in digital marketing? How much money was that? The first time you say you make a money, say, yeah boy, I make a money there. Let me see if I can make a money tomorrow again, and then you start to make a money and make a money.
So entrepreneur to entrepreneur, I would tell you that when you make what you think is a big amount, your next immediate thought is, how can I make more? How can I make this again? So the first digital marketing project that I had done was I built a website. Officially, I was always messing around with these things, but officially, first thing that I did was I built a website for the same organization that I'm talking about. And at the time, I didn't do any business courses at school, right? I did IT, and that's all I knew. I just knew computers. I didn't do any business courses, and I spent about 6 months developing this website. And then the manager of the organization says to me, send me your invoice. I had never thought of invoice. I didn't know what invoice was. And it's a term that I heard, and my focus was get this thing off the ground, get this website built for people to have that access to that information. So imagine me going and Google what is an invoice and how much people charge for websites. And then that kind of, I was like, oh, so this is what an invoice is. And then I got that check and I was, oh, this is new. This is interesting. Having worked in what you'd call the 9-to-5 system all my professional life, your salary is deposited in your account. You don't know what a check is.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. That was 2015, I think. Yeah.
How much was that first check?
I undercharged myself. It was $1,000.
It's just your first check, because you just check yourself. That I just check myself. It's a check you get.
Mind you, I'm learning at the time. Of course, I learning what other people in the space are charging for that level of work.
Probably another zero.
Honorable,
at least because you see, one of the biggest issues with our youth is just self-value, how you value yourself.
Yes.
And growing up, even as a man that did medicines, and food and all these different aspects, I never questioned. My cost is always reflective of what I put into it. Right? So if you know that you put 6 months, then divide 1,000 by 6 months. If you have to pay yourself for every month,
yes,
and then you say, wow, boy, $1,000 6 months, so 6 into 10 is what? So that means that even if you got $190 a day every month, right? So it is critical then that you say, well, okay, wow, if I were to pay myself $1,000 a month, so at least I'm looking at 6 grand.
And something else too, I'm learning these business savviness. Another thing you have to look at too is if I'm working on this at the point I'm in now in my professional trajectory is what am I not working on? This has to be able to pay my staff, sustain the company, return a profit, ensure that we can live to see tomorrow within a reasonable time frame. But what else am I not working on? I could be working on something else. So I think that's
opportunity cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I heard that mentioned before. And it's the idea is ensure that you could get paid decent. It's not, especially in our creative industry. There are photographers, cameramen, videographers all around us. I think this industry, be it very new, not new, but it's new to the forefront of things. And COVID would have taught the whole world that this is where attention is going. But we undervalue ourselves a lot, man. We really do, just to get the job. If this man doing it for 1,000. I'll tell them people like
that's good for 6. That's good for me then.
That's good for you, but then what happens is that the man who feels like he's charging 1,000, he's skilled. He has put in the 10,000 hours to master his craft to be able to charge you that and to be able to give you your video or picture or whatever in a day, rather than you get inferior work for the $600. And a lot of entrepreneurs, we look at, oh boy, paying $400 less. But then what that $400 would cost me? What would my return on investment be? That $1,000 video, I would make $200,000 from it. That $600 video, I have to go back and spend time, and no entrepreneur has all the time he would like to have.
I concur with that. I said that even like growing my medicine is expensive, and as I said, like for years in St. Lucia, we used to charge the St. Lucian market the cost of our medicines in EC, what they sold in US. Right, so as of probably last year, on my website, an answer would have cost you about 60 US, and in St. Lucia it will cost you $67 EC. So for years we actually subsidized the local market. not diminishing that, okay, we know our fundamental value. Then the time came when, okay, the solution man have to pay also, right? Because they have to understand the value of what it is that you have to offer. And at the end of the day, it is never wise to bring down your price just because of what your competition is doing. Yes. So a Mercedes-Benz will always sell as a Mercedes-Benz price. The BMW would sell as a BMW price. And then a Nissan Sentra would sell as a Nissan Sentra, and a Toyota Corolla as a Toyota Corolla. But you have people that will just pay for the finer things. So when it is that you are able to produce a product that's of superior quality, even some of my ads I bring in people because of the type of camera that is needed. You can't find it here. So I want an ad that basically can play on any TV network anywhere in the world.
Device,
right? So then that means I have to get that level of quality of equipment, that level of quality of production. So then you just spend the money. So if it is that same power is down here in St. Lucia, right, it would save me the cost of accommodation, cost of plane tickets, the cost of all those things, and then have that same, so I would urge you, that even if everybody bring on their price, hold your price, because the price of things that matter, of things of good value, it doesn't go down, because you know that what you are giving that's the value of it. So if I know I have to use spring water to make my juice, right, so my juice costs $10, I'm going to be worried about the man that used pipe water to make his juice and sell his juice $5, and use sugar, white sugar, instead of using agave or honey,
sugar or
or date sugar or coconut sugar. So I'm going to try to compete with them, and that's not even my competition. Then I will say, well, our juice is made with spring water, sweetened with agave, or something that is very specific. But at the end of the day, it is not something that we are saying that, look, you are consuming something that is dangerous for you, but uplifting. Prophet Edison.
True. And honorable, I mean, in accordance to what you're saying, the price war concept within business is often looked down upon, Really and truly, when businesses go at it, it's generally the aim not to go at it raw based on price. It's about the unique selling points. It's about the addition. Sometimes it's the personalized nature of it. Sometimes it's the compassionate or empathetic nature of the product, be it that product would resonate with a certain type of person for a direct, authentic and honest need. So there you have the actual value being put one against the other, and oftentimes you find the more personalized service wins, and that's how audience get what they need, by looking through the market and not really looking at just price, because price sometimes is based on what is listed, what is available within the space, but based on quality. And it's been said to me many times that St. Lucians often come across as shy in the Caribbean basin when we look at our talents. Although oftentimes we might have the best talents, we're still a little bit shy about the way we present it and the way we embrace it and we embody it. So within all sectors, we just encouraging young people in every aspect, as we learn our value, embody it, and we don't really have to fight on price, but we can of course tailor service to a specific type of person and to meet the values in a way perhaps the competition doesn't. But of course within your space, I mean, coming into the digital space, how did you differentiate your product from what was already available, or what really led you into developing this specific type of product, which is an all-around approach? Yeah, give thanks.
We'll take an intercession first,
and then we'll go into that. Give thanks.
Right, so we are due for an intercession when we come again. Definitely we will continue as we are due for an intercession.
Yes, sir.
All right? Yes, sir.
Give thanks.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, drop it in your juice same way. And, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, Most times I take it in water, But if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, with with something that you know is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the naturality into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift, you know, we give thanks, it's an answer, you know, for real.
Jah Rastafari. Give thanks for life and a mighty life giver. Definitely, even within St. Lucia and the rest of the world, there are lots of problems. What are the solutions that our young people could offer to the multiplicity of problems that they actually encounter? The Great Physician International Moankilas Rejuvenation Center and the Green Zen present you with the Art Liberation Celebration, an opportunity whereby young people could come and sit in and provide a natural solution to all the artificial problems that are faced within our community. Definitely, we give thanks for life and a mighty life giver again, and we give thanks as we are forward again. And this evening we have our brethren first here from P1 Marketing, you know, and you know, definitely, you know, P represents Christ, you know, the P was the P and the fish and the P and the cross. You know, so I
could actually give you the story about that P, you know, and how that came to be.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Well, I was actually going through a bit of a downtime in my life, and I wasn't the most conscious at the time, and then I was trying to think of a name, a business name. So I fell upon affirmations, right? And my name beginning with P, I always fascinated by words beginning with P. So every morning, just to kind of get myself out of that dark space, I would say positive words that started with P.
Like positive.
So like positive. And then every morning I would just go, okay, purposeful one, present one, patient one, powerful one. I just kept going and going and going. And then when I was trying to think of a name for the business, I was like, I want this to embody my thoughts, but I wanted to embody what I want to impart on other people. So I want you to be a powerful one. I want you to be a present one. I want you to be a patient one, a purposeful one. I want you to be one that is pregnant with ideas and opportunities. And so it was like, okay, P1. And that's how it came about, and in the back of my mind. And every time somebody says it, I try to match. Okay, you say P1, I say present one. You say P1, I say purposeful one. And that's just my little game with myself in my head. And
no, but it's not a game, it's a real serious thing. It's a strategy. Yeah. Very good strategy.
That's how I keep it in mind. But Honorable, you had asked me a question before we took the intercession.
Of course, and I just love the trend of what you're discussing. I know the Honorable went viral for mentioning that saying these positive words, it emits the hormones of positive, all the positive hormones, the serotonin, the dopamines into our blood. Yes. But of course, I wanted to know, how did you differentiate yourself in that digital space? What really birthed your strategy of using multiple mediums of media, of communication, to give a full round effect so that you could see the exponential growth, and then of course measuring that for your clients to feel the benefit? How did that process go for you?
Well, you mentioned something before the intercession. You said your unique value points or your unique value proposition. And I think every business, you have to understand what your UVP is. And in marketing, that's number one. A client comes to me and say, hey, I'm selling plantain chips. Okay, what's special about your plantain chips? Do they make you feel good? Are they healthy? Are they vegan? Are they made with some regular type of oil? So our UVP was based on my skill set, because in the beginning I was the only person who worked in the company, and we were able to provide a set of services to our clients that you would find one person freelancing and do it this way, or you find 2-3 people freelancing and they can only provide these things. But then when we looked at, what is the most efficient and effective marketing platforms and which ones that we manage, that's how we bundled our services and were able to offer it to these clients. Our UVP is the services and the platforms that we manage, and of course, injecting a little extra creativity along the way to ensure that our client campaigns are not just only effective, but it's long lasting. It's something that you could watch 10 years down the line and see and feel good about.
How do you see your model of success being a black print You know, for other youth, you know, like so the man that living down there might say, well, boy, my mother couldn't put the 1 cent and 2 cents to put me in a computer, in front of a computer from 2 years. You know, but how can you then say, well, what model do you feel that your life's glory could actually set that black print that someone else or a group of people could actually follow, that could maybe, you know, direct 10 people, 20 people, one person from that road that would lead to sudden destruction?
I think, honestly, Honorable, if there's one person who listens to me throughout my entire life and they find success, they find peace, they find prosperity in the way that they want it, I did my job. Just one person listens.
A person P.
I think for me, the most important thing is where there is a will, there is a way. I gave a speech, I think about 2 weeks ago at the Grosley Human Resource Development Center to a group of budding entrepreneurs, and most of them, to be quite honest, they were very scared. They were very scared, and of course money is always an issue. I didn't start my company with any inheritance. No bank can say that they gave me any loan. It was just me on my grind. Like, that's just what I wanted. And of course they expressed the issue that, you know, I don't have any money, how do I start a company? We live in a world where start.
Just
start. Yeah, just start.
Yeah,
just start. You have the will, you have the idea.
Just
Something will give birth for you. Something will work in your favor. And then success, health, all of the facets of life, for me, I understand it works on momentum. So you put one foot in the door, something would come, you put the other foot, and then you keep putting the other foot and the other foot, and then it continues to build and grow. So don't let not having money be an issue. And I was watching the last episode, you were saying having money is not the root of all evil. I think you said
lack of it.
Lack of it is the root of all evil.
Well, it's not my saying. Many people
yeah,
say that.
I try and show you I was watching your last episode.
Oh, good, thanks. Yeah, but I mean, even as you're saying that, it is important that, okay, like we say, well, you said through your journey, you just tell people just to be persistent, be again, right, and just start, and which is the critical thing, because you have plenty of people with degrees and they're just not doing anything. They're waiting for a job, with masters and PhD and all. They're waiting for a job, and people might tell you, well, you say, well, momentum, one foot from a door. Now with you you having done it, and myself, I do a little thing already, Prophet Edison, right? So that means that people don't have to go one foot. They could literally jump, probably not even like a foot, probably like a mile.
Yes.
Right? Just through your examples,
yes. Just
by being able to look at your own success, your own glory, that could save somebody else a lot of trouble. So if it might have taken you 5 years to just get that confidence to start, the fact that you will tell someone or you speak to someone, you will empower them that they could start now, whereas it would have taken them 3 or 4 years to start.
Now, it would be remiss of me, being that we manage social media platforms for our clients, would be remiss of me to not mention to whoever wants to start, that budding entrepreneur, utilize social media. Utilize social media. Yes? Feed yourself. It is a feed. When you're scrolling on that feed, and we try to put as much positive content as possible, but when you're feeding yourself that information, cultivate your timeline with things that would feed you positively. So if you want to go into real estate, you don't know how to get into real estate, research different real estate companies. Look to see what this one is doing. Try to find out what this agent is doing, how to price, how to charge, how to market yourself. Utilize the platforms that are there, because for people like you and I, we give that information freely. Some charge, okay, great. Some give it free. And again, we are so blessed to be born in a time where information is omnipresent, right? You can find it anywhere. From the University of YouTube, you could get your degree on any topic that you want. So, just use the channels that are there to educate yourself.
And I mean, TikTok, when you look at what's what's really erupted in this space. There's a lot of DIYs, a lot of complex things you would think took so much effort. People showing you, yeah, hot glue gun, a piece of wood, yeah, and then you know, all of a sudden you have a unique structure which serves a purpose in the household, or maybe a different way of doing something that we could actually benefit from and that could be monetized. Maybe it's happening in the Philippines, it's not happening here as yet. So in the same way, the social media gives us a space to latch onto trends and be the first ones in our market in some instances to be in that niche or to have that particular style of product. And also just the confidence in what we want to do. As we visualize things, when we see it, we know that that is the direction we want to go into. Taking action is super important. And even if it's just to creating the Instagram page or creating the Facebook page and beginning to look for the information that aligns with it. Because back at school, there was a young lady from South Africa. She had a hair page, a hair Instagram page, probably about 80,000 followers. And that was so weird to me. I was like, wow, that's such a rabbit hole. I didn't expect to see that. But then these are people who have learned to the value of filtering information and filtering a feed so that maybe some young lady out there would be looking at hair stuff all day long because that's what they want to manifest. And in the same way, when you curate your substance, you don't have to look at violence. You don't have to put it towards just one type of thing only, but it could be personal development. It could be in the direction of a specific act or specific art. So that is a very important point. And for young people in this space, how important do you think it is for us to develop our own social space? Like as individuals, you know me, I might be John Paul, but I have a social space, I'm using it. What is the importance you think of personal branding in that new entrepreneurship scheme?
Well, honestly, Prophet, your network is your net worth, yeah? And to an extent, you are valued, your personal value increases by the people you can call on to assist you with your journey. Personal branding is so important. It's paramount that you ensure that people know that you are known for this, and your next job in a sense really depends on the job that you do now. So you have to ensure that you do a great job on whatever it is that you're working on. A man could give you a job, go and nail that over there, or go and cut some grass, and that's all you have to do. When you cut that grass, ensure that you cut the grass behind the grass, in front of the grass, in the middle of the grass, so that now you are known for that. And you tell people, hey, that's what I did, right? And you continue to go along that path. If you want people to come to you, you have to go to people in that sense and make yourself be known as that. Make yourself almost synonymous with what you want to put out there, because what you give out is what you get. That's how I think of personal branding.
Absolutely. And in the same space, we look at on the ground young people they're looking at the social space in terms of enjoyment, in terms of taking up space and having a social presence, maybe in a kicks off kind of way, maybe just for friends. But in the same zone, we have the ability that's never really been had, where we can just go online and set up shop. We can go online and we can create products and we can continue to funnel people through our already built channels. So is that something you think that all young people should really be flooding through? And what do you think the importance is of product selection, like having young people who do retail and finding different important or rather different creative styles of bringing things in? How important do you think differentiation is of finding that level of unique product in that space?
So I think to the initial thing of getting the branding off the ground and the social spaces, there's no better way to meet. That's how we met. We met through a business mixer, where you were starting off. How far were you in Cardinal Vegan at the time?
That's the year I started, 2019.
That's the year I started. Yeah. So when I met you there, I felt like, this is a young brother who understands the value of these types of things, and look at what it has gotten us to do. And I think that there are more. We should look forward to these opportunities. I know some people are shy. Some people don't feel comfortable in front of a camera. Some people don't want to put themselves out there. But curating that story about yourself is how you'd get people to come to you. So I think that the social spaces, and we should create it. If people like you and I are more, we have the resources to get it done, we should do that. In terms of the product selection question, I think that if we can, we are blessed, man. Let me just say this. We are blessed to be from St. Lucia. We are blessed to be in St. Lucia. We are blessed to be in this tropical space. We have an abundance of materials that are so unique to us. And if we could find the people or those among us who are talented enough to take that material from one thing and then make it into something else for those who would need it. Not everything is for everybody. For those people who have those talents to get it done, then let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and see how we can help these people along the way, even if it's not our thing. But you know, if they have a niche, if they have a particular product, material, service that they can bring forth to help people who need it, let's see how we could help them if they're not completely confident in their skill set.
Yeah, continue to share it and so on.
Yeah, well, give thanks definitely. But Rhonda, I see you there, you know, doing good. So yes, we give thanks, and definitely, as you know, we are in the moment approaching at 8 o'clock. What I'd like to do, Prophet Edison, before we go into the intercession and take our final, you know, as we end in the marathon, final 40 minutes, is just to give us some breeze of some of the events that happened, even last round and this round, that we feel that, just news items that we feel that the people should know about when it comes to young people, positive achievements, and also things that have occurred that we feel that should be highlighted.
Alright, so I've just noticed a spur of young people doing extremely well in the school sports. I've seen secondary school sports, I've seen primary school sports, and I noticed that we're highlighting quite a few young sportsmen and sportswomen, and of course it is excellent in the various schools what they're doing, but we of course implore the surrounding community to continue to funnel them and to continue to facilitate them at the higher levels. Of course, some sportsmen feel it a little different here as they're developing, as opposed to when they go to university and they begin to feel the traction of what the international market space says. So it's really important that young people in the schools, in the primary and secondary schools, continue to be highlighted. And that was a great thing that I saw being done recently. But apart from that, there have been quite a few, well, there's some good to revel in. I noticed in Dennery quite a lot of work was done. And it started with noticing a call for more RSS officers from our PM. And I figured that was due to some sort of good work. And then shortly after, we saw a big bust in Dennery. And Dennery was already troubling because last year, I mean, it was almost every day somebody was getting shot in Dennery. It was really weird. And to see some sort of requisite justice come out of that, at least at this point, it still speaks to progression in the on-the-ground work. And I mean, it must provide comfort to the residents. There were people linked to the sale of crack cocaine that got taken on. And you know, crack cocaine is a crazy thing. That's the type of thing that makes somebody sell the clothes off their back, sell their vehicle, sell everything. They don't wait until they get paid, everything going. And you know, to have them type of things taken out of the community, it must be a relief from, well, to some of the people and probably to the entire community, what was going on.
To humanity.
Yeah, to humanity. And additionally, in that same article, there's a popular businessman I noticed who was involved. So it's good that in some way we're filtering out some of the wrong that is in the community. We noticed the regional security service coming to be a great help. And I think that level of intervention, along with the CID, the Grizzly North Police Station, and all these other factors of our security system work well together. So that's a good thing coming out of this space. Also, like really troubling, not all on the positive, you know. A mother who has a young man at BTC who escaped, a young ward, and she's literally on the news. Really fed up with the situation, you know, because she's tracking down her own
BTC?
son. Boys Training Center.
Okay.
Boys Training Center in the north. So her son has escaped along with another young man, and basically, in her words, he's terrorizing her community and the surrounding space. So she's going from Miku to Tirosha, I believe. And then you have an instance where you can't put out the photo because the youth is a minor. But then at the same time, you can't keep them at Boys Training Center because there's a hole in the fence nobody wants to fix. So it's really
it's just a hole to fix.
It's really just a hole to fix in the fence, you know. I'm pretty sure that's not the most expensive thing to do. But you have a mother really getting emotional, saying she had to take off her clothes and hide to track down the boy because she don't want him to see her, and they're having some type of friction on Facebook and so on, where he's blatantly disrespecting her and so on. So it's really animated. It's not what we would expect to see because there's been quite a few escaped wards for the last few weeks. Quite a few, really. There was a group of 5 and some were coming back. But then to still hear now an emotional mother who's saying like she really can't deal with the situation, and she's calling on law enforcement and saying, well, you know, while she's tracking down her son, she's calling the police to tell them like, yeah, here he is. And it's not her first attempt. It's coming like to the end of her story, like where we at now. And she's saying, well, they're informing the rest of the officers to come to her aid. She said she was there till after 11 and nobody came. So you see, it's still really a cat and mouse situation. And the same
mother and son, not cat
yeah,
and
mother and son really. But also, you know, she says he's joined a gang and now he has outside people helping him, vehicles picking him up, and all these types of things in our little St. Lucia headlining. And I mean, it is concerning, you know, and that's calling for more direction in this space and facilitative programs. Because of course, you leave a young person with nothing much to do. Maybe they want to play rugby. Maybe they want to play American football or something. Maybe we haven't created a program that fits what they like or what they attune to. Maybe it's the kickboxing, the MMA, whatever. But we still have to continue the facilitative programs to capture these young people.
So we different intercession. Give thanks again, Honorable. And when we come forward after the intercession, we'll just go and discuss these issues, and would love to get our brethren's feed forward on what measures that he feels that should be taken to actually help to alleviate all these type of issues. And definitely, you know that the respect for your mother and your father is the foundation. You know, the father and the mother represents the physical manifestation of God in flesh. It's because your mother and your father is what created you. You know? So if you don't respect your mother and your father that created you, you know, you can't love God, right? Because the physical manifestation of God, the first one, the person who came from the testicles and the person who came from the ovaries, that's the first representation of your creator, the one that created you, brought you into existence. So I won't marry a woman who doesn't speak to her father, you know, or doesn't speak to her mother. You fix that, you know. So at the end of the day, you cannot encourage that level of indiscipline whereby a man don't disrespecting his mother and his father, or his father and his mother. You know, society have to come to this basic set of principles, whereby even as the Bible says, honor your mother and your father, your life shall be, you know, long on the land. So give thanks when you come again. We definitely will continue. Blessed Lord. Jah Rastafari. Give thanks for life and a mighty life giver. Definitely, even within St. Lucia and the rest of the world, there are lots of problems. What are the solutions that our young people could offer to the multiplicity of problems that they actually encounter? The Great Physician International Moankilas Rejuvenation Center and the Green Zen present you with the Art Liberation Celebration, an opportunity whereby young people could come and sit in and provide a natural solution to all the artificial problems that are faced within our community.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, you know, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, you know, drop it in your juice same way. And, you know what I mean, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, you know. Most times I take it in water, you know what I mean? But, you know, if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, like, you know what I mean, with something that, you know, is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the naturality into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift, you know, we give thanks, it's an answer, you know, for real.
Jah Rastafari. Give thanks for life and a mighty life giver. Definitely, even within St. Lucia and the rest of the world, there are lots of problems. What are the solutions that our young people could offer to the multiplicity of problems that they actually encounter? The Great Physician International Moankilas Rejuvenation Center and the Green Zen present you with the Art Liberation Celebration, an opportunity whereby young people could come and sit in and provide a natural solution to all the artificial problems that are faced within our community.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, you know, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, you know, drop it in your juice same way. And, you know what I mean, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, you know. Most times I take it in water, you know what I mean? But, you know, if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, like, you know what I mean, with something that, you know, is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the natural levity into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift, you know, we give thanks, it's an answer, you know, for real.
Jah Rastafari. Give thanks for life and a mighty life giver. Definitely, even within St. Lucia and the rest of the world, there are lots of problems. What are the solutions that our young people could offer to the multiplicity of problems that they actually encounter? The Great Physician International Monkillas Rejuvenation Center and the Green Zen present you with the Art Liberation Celebration, an opportunity whereby young people could come and sit in and provide a natural solution to all the artificial problems that are faced within our community.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, you know, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, you know, drop it in your juice same way. And, you know what I mean, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, you know. Most times I take it in water, you know what I mean? But, you know, if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, like, you know what I mean, with something that, you know, is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the natural levity into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift, you know, we give thanks, it's an answer, you know, for real.
Yes, give thanks for life and a mighty life giver. Give thanks for all good things around us are sent from Zion above. So we praise Farai for his divine love. Give thanks as we are here once again. And this is the opportunity that we have to just address some of the issues that we were actually discussing. So, you know, we heard some of the issues you said in the schools and BTC, what is referred to as, that's not Border, are you talking about Boys Training Center? Boys Training Center. Okay, and there's a little hole in the fence that people always just sneak out of, and that cannot be solved.
Apparently, I mean, it's been a few weeks we're hearing wards escaping Boys Training Center. It's a few weeks, like more than 2, you know, and some are being brought back, but for it to reach the point where news headlines is a concerned mother, and she can't even deal with the situation at the space because the young man has escaped again and he has another young boy, and so they're stealing to get enough stuff for them to deal with. And of course these are minors, so you can't put them on any sort of wanted post or put them out there on the media. They have to be protected because of their age. So of course residents, these are residents of St. Lucia, these are nationals, and they're calling upon the institutions to do better in safeguarding the young people who are in that space. But what we really want to push forward to is still a progressive...
But it was still that same It was from that same institution that a youth escaped and murdered an elderly sister, right?
Yes, Honorable. Correct.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Correct. And there've been breakouts since then, where a few of the wards are brought back in. Some of them actually return on their own time, like they just return to the facility on their own because perhaps they've finished doing what they wanted to do and so on. But it doesn't really make ethical sense for a government-funded space or agency to have a hole in the fence, especially something so important as security. Because you're safeguarding your elderly, you're safeguarding all the hard-working people going to work 9 to 5 every day who might get confronted by a young person who has been on a spur of unfortunate events doing things that we would not like for them to be doing. But of course we have a hand in preventing that. When you get a young person out of facility and so on, the goal is to keep them and to rehabilitate them. Are we even putting enough emphasis on the rehabilitation factor? Because the young people must feel loved, they must feel valued, and they must feel a sense of importance for them to consider changing their behavior. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to bribe somebody, but people change their behavior based on the stimulus and things that they see. But if you're allowing the same issues to escape into the community, to affect more people, until we hear, like you mentioned, Honorable, until the smell starts to hit us at home, until it becomes in our own neighborhoods, maybe because it's in a more southern community, maybe because it's in the Mikud and so on, we don't feel as though it's our issue, but it has been in Grocery and it's been fatal. So what are we doing as a nation now to focus our interests on that? Because if it's a hole in the fence, I mean, you can't have a hole in the fence, putting everybody on the fence, making everybody have to be concerned about their well-being and so on. And the mother's own house was broken into by her son, which is even more erroneous because, I mean, that's still a space where you should really be calling home, even if you...
How do we solve these issues, my brother?
Once again, I appreciate, the opportunity to speak. But to your point earlier, Honorable, I think that all these issues are social issues. We cannot look at them at the point of impact when the crime is committed, when the hole in the fence is exploited. We have to look at what is taking place in the home. And a lot of, even though that you have a mother present, or a mother at home, and a father at home, or older brothers and sisters around, are they present and are they positively present? What are they doing to contribute to that child's holistic development? Are they setting a good example? And where are these kids getting their examples from? If they don't have what is positive to them in their immediate space, they will go, like we were talking about earlier, they will go online and they would look for whatever they think is a true representation of who they want to be. So to your example earlier, Honorable, this boy has joined a gang. That's unfortunate, but I mean, that's who he wants to be. He wants to be seen as somebody. That's who he identifies as. And we have to look at the social programs. I cannot say truthfully that we have no programs. I've spoken to people. There are programs in place, but the problem is we don't have enough visibility on those programs that are available so that people who need the help can take advantage of it. The other issue to that as well is the stigma. You have the stigma of when it comes to mental illness, when it comes to just regular illnesses, when it comes to maybe socioeconomic issues, for somebody to come out and say, I need the help. I need the help to pay the bills, so I need the help with my ward or my child who's seemed to be going astray. We don't seem to want to
get into that mother putting it out there.
Well, she's one of the brave ones, but it got to the point. It's gotten to the point where it's almost beyond. It's beyond
so
control
at
this
that
point.
Part of the solution is social initiatives. You're saying, well, what we need to do is to outlay them, make them more visual.
Yes, make them more visible and get into the communities to help. It's not only when you need a vote from somebody, you go in and knocking on their door. How about we do some door-to-door activities where we go and knock on doors and go and ask questions? When we want to know how many people live in a house for census, we go and ask them, how much you making, where you working, how many people in the house. But we could also say, what are the age ranges of the children that are there? What are their education levels? Are they doing well in school? What do their teachers have to say about them? What their friends have to say about them? And that is curbing the problem from them. Like you mentioned in the introduction, Honorable, the seed was not planted, the seed didn't bear today. The seed was planted 10, 15, 20 years ago. That seed, bad seed, was not that child of, but these bad seeds being planted.
Yeah, but they are bad
before.
children.
Yeah, they are bad
There's
children.
no apology about it. There are bad children. There are children that behave badly.
Yes.
And it is the recognition of, if you have fruits in a bowl, and they have one bad fruit rotting, we say, oh boy, that fruit is not rotting, it's just a fruit, it's a little thing, and you leave the fruit among all the other fruits, and all the other fruits they're rotten. Right? So if you have to probably take all the rotten fruit, cut a little slice of it, or dehydrate it and make something else with it, then at least, so even like as you said, then I see like a job for you one time in that, because you say, well, put it in their face, and that's your job, putting things in people's face digitally.
Yeah.
So what can be done like digitally then to the existing social programs that are available, other programs that you feel that can be done, or even like good words, like peas, as you were talking about a while ago, that you could put forward in that same kind of digital marketing kind of thing, whereby we begin to market goodness, we begin to market rehabilitation. So this is what the Art Liberation Celebration is doing, We are marketing goodness. Right? So how then in the digital space that we could actually begin to inculcate these type of things, put these types of practices in place whereby you have an algorithm built upon goodness, right? Not on sexuality and violence, but an algorithm built upon love.
Yeah, and also, Honorable, we have companies who we see, they show their interest in their own business by putting up billboards, by putting out paraphernalia. But as a people, are we serious enough about programming the young people that we actually begin to invest and put forward things that would actually send that message? So, of course, we have our audience here. They're sitting here with us, and we're grateful to have them. But we want to know, what are the things you think that should be out and should be put in front of the young people to change their mind? What are the type of ideas you think young people would gravitate to that are positive, that they could see in front of them in the digital space? Yeah.
One of the things I believe that...
Put the maximum up, yeah.
Okay, sorry. One of the things that I believe that we as the youth can do to change the mind of our own is to be each other's motivation. We all here have accomplished great stuff in life. Let's sit down with like-minded people like ourselves and tell our brethren and citren, that, hey, if I can do this, you have the capability of doing that. And if you need the assistance, the guidance, I am here to provide such guidance and such assistance to you, because the support systems are there. It's just that sometimes we as youth, we believe that we are on our own, where we are not on our own. We have a community of like-minded people to assist us, and to guide us and to nurture us, both ourselves, our mentors, like Honorable PHK Lash, who has, done many great stuff. So we just need to come together and pull up each other, especially we as men, because I believe that there is a crack, that is growing, like an earthquake, splitting us apart, as men. And we need to come together and rescue ourselves from ourselves. Because if we do not do that, there will be nothing left of us, So we need to, it's an emergency, and we need to make it happen.
911.
911.
Okay, definitely. Give thanks. Honorable, you want to share a word?
No.
Yes. She wants to share a word. You can't come in the den and then you silence. You have to say something uplifting.
I think it's a lack of love from the homes, and we'll probably look at the young children, because even me, like from the community, our community, I would go on the block and I would speak to the fellas, and most of them, they just don't feel loved, and then their parents ignore them. Well, especially when they're not academically inclined, it's like all hope is gone. From that point, all hope is gone. They start to beat down on them, so then they take some other way. So I think it's just injecting love into our people. And it's not just the young people. I think the older people, they need therapy. It has a lot to do with the older people because they're the ones discouraging the young people. So as much as I can go to this 15-year-old and give him encouragement, in the moment he might feel good and he might feel like he wants to do something different, but when he goes home and his mom bombards him with whatever, you know, it's like he goes right back to the block and he forgot everything I said. There's only so much you can do with the young people if those before them are not planting good seeds in their lives. Yeah.
I think to add to your point, we need to take a look at the education system. We are in the Caribbean, we only have a few subjects that children are exposed to, and if they do not excel to the parents' satisfaction at those subjects, we disregard them, right? Because you don't get 100 in mathematics and history and biology and physics that may not be of any interest to that particular child, then you disregard them, to your point. So I think it takes a hard look into the education system. We need to take a hard look into the education system, diversify, expand a bit so we can introduce our kids to new things, to exciting things, so that we can, you know, take them off the streets. We can interest them. If they get interested in things that they can find a way to feed themselves off of eventually, then...
You have a child already?
Yeah, I have a daughter. She's 11. She's writing CPA in 34 days, I think it is. 45 days. So yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
Give thanks.
Thanks. Now, you know, it's really interesting, the feeling of being alone. Like, I recently found out that about 20 decades ago, 20 generations ago, a generation typically being like 25 years, it took over 1 million people for each of us to be born. Because, you know, we have 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, and it's an exponential growth into the past. And even the fact that a woman is born with all of the eggs that she's going to have for a lifetime, and so was her mother. And that goes back eons, really, to think that most of the time our genetics, whatever we have here, is extremely valuable. It's something that comes back from hundreds of years ago of people meeting people and, you know, moving forward in love to produce us. So we actually are, you know, really important in this space. And the young people, of course, they go into gangs because the gang culture is a family culture. Everybody knows that if you're in a gang, you're not going to let somebody mess with somebody in your gang. You genuinely see the importance.
Loyalty.
Loyalty. Now, these are things that parents, of course, need to reintroduce into the discussion, that when a parent is culturing the child, that they could let the child know the genuine importance, that, you know, as a mother, as a grandmother, you're just as connected to the child. The child might be close to the beginning of the experience and you might be close to the ending of yours, but you understand that it is a human experience, that it is not so different, that, of course, given the right circumstances, the right energy shared, the young person could be as intelligent as they need to be. So we really don't lack anything. And of course, we need to see more positive programming coming out of our space. And of course, we see quite a few diverse areas young people might want to get into. But in addition to that, what do you think is the kind of programming that we really need to put forward to the young people themselves? Like, what do you think that the young people need to hear for themselves to even though they may not be academically inclined, but see the value in the experience they have in?
I think we need to teach them that they matter. We need to teach them that they are important, irrespective of their academic performance. We need to show them that even if you do not get X grades or Y grades in this particular skill set, that we can empower the next generation to go and look for what enlightens them and what is in line with their true purpose and in fulfillment of their spirit. Just teach them that they matter. I mean, it's not just teach them that they matter. We have a lot of unlearning to do to re-educate them, but then I think, at least from the way I see it, that is what is the direction. I want to throw a question to you guys. You spoke of the past and what was happening eons ago. Perhaps let's take a look at the future and what's coming, what's now, and what will be here very shortly. In the news spaces, you've been hearing a lot about artificial intelligence, Honorable Lane. A few weeks ago, I imagined myself having this conversation with you, and here we are now having this conversation. What are your thoughts about artificial intelligence, what it brings to the nation, what it can bring to the job market, how it would add or create or take away jobs?
Well, it's not really artificial intelligence, you know. It is more human intelligence. packaged artificially. So it is basically taking all human experiences and putting it in a package.
Yes.
So it's not something artificial. So a computer only spits out what you put into it. So it's just like a child again. Right? So if it is then that we overstand that, even if the whole aspect of children, that a child will begin to reproduce, it's like a record, it's like a parrot. You're talking to the parrot and you're using good words. The parrot, I love you, I love you, I love you. If he's in curse words, the parrot will say the same thing. So even the households where the child begin to replicate is what they are exposed to all the time. So when you look at artificial intelligence, it's basically what you feed into these computers, right? What you feed into the machine, is exactly what you're going to get out of it. And the thing is that you know how it is in the world, that any level of technology, when we discover that you could produce energy by the splitting of an atom, they did the hydrogen bomb, instead of doing hydrolysis of the water molecule and then produce free energy for everyone, right? So when you split an atom, you could have so much energy that you could bring down a whole country, right? So why don't you just take that energy and provide free energy that you have to pay so much money for all the different aspects that you have to pay? So I feel that artificial intelligence is human intelligence that's packaged in a particular manner, and we now as human beings have to begin to take control of it. Because if it takes control, you've seen Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Terminator 3, and this is something that the so-called technological people are saying, boy, you could have a Terminator thing where you're coming from the past and where the machines take over. But I don't really see it that dire. I think that it's human intelligence, that we have to ground ourselves in it in a manner whereby the output is something that is positive. So we are about to seal up. We have about 2 minutes remaining, so we'll just take the closing remarks from Honorable Prophet Edison, then from yourself, and then I'll just seal her in this moment.
Well, give thanks, Honorable. I'm grateful for such a lovely program and for the engagement from our audience and from our feature. Let's not forget that, the Sir Arthur Lewis model, the model of operating in spaces of high volume of labor and low resources, is what birthed the Asian miracle, is what birthed Singapore and Hong Kong and all of those markets. So let's remember that it is the development of our people. As much as it is capitalism, yes, you must make a dollar, but the empathy is where we begin to see the exponential growth. It is in the teaching that there is learning. So grateful for the teaching from the master herbal physician, not herbalist, but grateful for the eye and grateful for our future, all of the words of encouragement and for our young people, and also the suggestions, the natural suggestions to the artificial problems.
Give thanks. And my brother, quickly.
All right, I would like to give thanks once again, Prophet Edison, give thanks to Honorable Priest Kilash and the vegan restaurant, the Green Zen, for having me here today. I appreciate it. I was able to share some knowledge with those, and I hope that my messaging, our messaging here is able to impact somebody positively. If you focus on that journey, focus on yourself, focus on your enlightenment and your self-development, you will go very far. Honorable Priest Kilash, on a note to you personally, keep doing what you are doing, King. It is very important in the society that kings like you are able to do what you are doing, so that people like me can do what I am doing, so that the next generation to come will fix that hole in the Boys Training Center.
In the fence. So give thanks again, definitely, and we give thanks for all of you that was present. Give thanks for the Green Zen for having us. Remember, at the Green Zen, the ultimate plant-based experience. Come and support us by supporting yourself. Come and visit. Have some wonderful plant-based cuisine. Definitely give thanks again, and give thanks for our technicians behind the cameras. All heart of love, Jah Rastafari. Blessed.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, you know, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, you know, drop it in your juice same way. And, you know what I mean, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, you know. Most times I take it in water, you know what I mean? Like, but, you know, if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, like, you know what I mean, with something that, you know, is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the natural living into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift, you know, we give thanks is an answer, you know, for real.